Hi, this is Ellie Fishman, and I think I'm live on Facebook. Some of you may know who are on Facebook that, like, look at CTisus, you'd think our website's having some problems. But if you go and you look on the internet, both Facebook and Instagram, I won't say they're down, because if they were down, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So I think they're up, but things like images aren't being able to load. So I'm sure Instagram is a giant blank because it's only images. And Facebook, if you look at the CTisus Facebook page, where there are images, there's nothing. And I was trying to put up some more images, and I could not do that. So anyway, this talk is going to be on cinematic rendering. And I was just reading, there you can see this article that I just was looking at. This is from Quantum Magazine. The title of the article is on AI, where we see shapes, AI sees textures. And I just posted it on the Facebook page. So don't go looking there now when you're listening to me, but look after. And it was kind of interesting why sometimes computers have problems. Remember, people have showed that computers are super smart in detecting things, but sometimes they can confuse a cat or a penguin if the penguin was wearing, let's say, a fur hat or something, while a 2-year-old could recognize a penguin no matter what the penguin was doing. It could be smoking in a state that allowed smoking for penguins, and they would recognize it. And it made the point here that while humans pay attention to the shape of pictured objects, deep learning computer vision algorithms really routinely latch on to the object's textures instead. And that's kind of interesting because one of the things, of course, we talk about with cinematic rendering is the fact that we can get really good textures. Now, I just gave a talk at the NCI the other day, and I was making the point that one of the things we do with things like cinematic rendering or advanced 3D processing is we look at and we emphasize the volume of things. Now, I've always said that when you look at slices, and CT is a bunch of slices, but if you only focus on the slices, you are going to have problems because there's only a certain amount of information that's available on a slice. When you build those slices into a volume, and that's what we've spent 35 years doing, then you could see more, understand more. If you're the surgeon, the ability to plan surgery is not based on slices, but based on volumes, because the surgeon opens the abdomen laparoscopically these days and sees the volume. They don't see a series of slices. They see the pancreas, they see the SMA and celiac, they see the portal vein and splenic vein, and they see the presence of a mass and its intricate relationships. And so when they go to operate, the planes, the orientation, the description, all of those things become critically important. So for us, we're trying to match what the surgeon sees. We're also trying to match what the understanding of things are. And the fact is, when we're using AI, we've been putting a lot of effort in, Alan Yulee and his team and ourselves, not thinking about things as 2D, which is basically the way that people have always thought about doing computer vision, but as 3D volumes. Now, one of the problems with volumes is that you need a lot more computer power thanks to NVIDIA. GPUs are much cheaper, they're much more capable, and so we can use very fast processing to be able to look at volumes, and within the volume gets lots of information. But within that volume, we are looking at texture, and we are looking at shape. And so one of the things I think why we've been successful in our AI adventure looking at the pancreas is because we're not just looking at texture, we're looking at shape. And we make the point that with shape, we have this network. When it looks at shape, it's also important because tumors like of the tail or uncinate are easy to miss when they hang off because it doesn't quite distort the shape of the gland perhaps, but it's coming off the gland. And so you need to train the computer to recognize what things are near the gland, what things are off the gland. And so tumors that are coming off the gland need to be recognized. And that's a difficult problem with computer vision, but I think it's something we have been able to solve. Now, in saying that, With cinematic rendering, I have made the point, and we've written probably 24 articles making the point, that we look at texture. Now, we always describe things like masses, right? We talk about a pancreatic mass. But a mass tends to emphasize to me that it's large, that you shouldn't miss it. We talk about 1 centimeter masses, and maybe the size is a good descriptor. If something's 1 cm, the chance of you missing it probably is a lot greater than something that's 10 cm. So maybe you need that descriptor. But to me, the question is, what do you do with texture? And so when I do the cinematic rendering, and we've given this talk on CTisus a little bit touching on it, I put down for the pancreas, I put down size, shape, duct, common duct, pancreatic duct, vessels. But then I talk about texture, and I say texture is the next frontier. Then in order for us to pick up subtleties, we need to be able to pick up subtleties in texture. That if you're only looking for mass or mass effect, you can come up short in early tumors. That the reality is that with early tumors, it's the texture, I think, that can be very critical. Now, in this article, it does make the point about the problem with texture and computer vision, but it also does kind of give you some idea of where things might go and how you might be teaching the computer to look at shape and texture. And again, it's kind of interesting. One of the complaints about AI is that it's a black box. Now, you have to admit, black boxes, you hate black boxes because what the heck is going on in there? But we would admit that if we put a CT scan in and it always gave us the right answer coming out, I probably wouldn't be so worried what's in that black box. But it does make the point, and this is what one of the issues with FDA approval is, what exactly is the computer algorithm doing? And that's something I think that people are often struggling with. Because if I'm going to trust you with my life, making a decision how I should live or how long I will live or what chemotherapy I should get, or is this really a tumor, or is it benign or malignant? If I'm trusting you with making all of those decisions, then the question is, what do you do? Now, I just saw a note from John Biacchino who says there's no image. Now, I guess that is a possibility. What's that?
It's recorded though.
Okay, but I'm asking Hannah, who's saying it's recording. So I guess we can post a picture of me after making all sorts of motions, but we will keep going. But I have a picture. I'm seeing myself perfectly. I don't know about the rest of you, but I guess we can always post the picture after. Maybe we'll post a picture of a nice texture on the front of that article rather than a picture of me sitting here in a white coat. I'm actually, since you don't see me, I'm telling you that I'm in a tuxedo because I was going to dress up for July 4th. I have a top hat, red, white, and blue bow tie, but I guess you're not going to be able to see that. So I think one of the things to look at really is this whole idea about texture and how can we accentuate the texture mapping. I do think that with computer vision, as I mentioned, this black box idea, you need to get inside that black box because the only way we're really going to improve a lot of the algorithms is to know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and then can we improve it. And I think you're seeing a lot of articles coming out of computer vision and computer science showing that it's not always a black box, that people are looking behind the curtain. I think, we don't want to have the Wizard of Oz thing, where the Wizard of Oz is all-knowing, almighty wizard until, Toto comes and pulls the curtain back and that's some guy with a bullhorn. That was really a terrific movie, by the way. It's another story. But I think we are concerned that, again, if we're going to trust an algorithm, we want to know how the algorithm is working, what it's thinking about, and what its limitations might be. And again, if you don't really understand the algorithm and how it works, I think it's going to be hard to improve it, particularly when you find its limitations or you find its errors. So I think in that regard, it's somewhat challenging for us. I think that we will put a lot of effort into that, and many people are, and so are we. But I think it's very critical to really look at that way of thinking. And it is interesting, again, sticking with the cinematic rendering. I personally, when I read a scan, I look at the shape, but I am focusing on texture. So I think surely humans, particularly people with experience, can look at both textures and shape. We have in our mind, think about all of us looking at the pancreas, thousands and thousands of shapes of the pancreas we've seen, and we've seen distortions, and we know what we're looking for, and we know if there's a problem. So there is a lot of knowledge a priori, and that's one of the things, again, with computers. One of the reasons computers need large data sets is it needs to have the experience. Now, we do talk about the fact that, like Google did this work with dermatology and skin lesions, but instead of looking at 10,000, they looked at 150,000. Or you can look at 100,000 fractures or 100,000 CTs. The ability to learn is based on the 10,000 rule, right? The article about, the Beatles were really good because they practiced 10,000 hours. Now that's true, though I have to admit, if I practiced 10,000 hours, I would have bloody fingers playing guitar, and I still would suck. Well, maybe not. Maybe, 10,000 hours I'd be playing just this much worse than Eric Clapton, perhaps. Maybe, but probably not. But I do think the fact is that you need to have this understanding of what's going on. Then you need to be able to adjust the algorithms. And so I think with things like cinematic rendering, we are looking at ways of improving that, both the quality as well as having the computer using AI to determine what the best positioning, what the best settings are, what the best post-processing tools are, how to optimize the case for how to optimize the parameters for an individual case, and not have the user be the one doing the optimization. We are concerned with things like cinematic rendering that a user may choose the right parameters and may choose the wrong parameters and not know it. If a computer can get the best parameters by looking at hundreds of thousands of cases and then optimizing that, the parameters, I think we're going to be a lot better off. So I am kind of thinking about that direction. Now, I know if anyone has any questions, it's a good time to ask. I think most people probably are not online because they figured they didn't see anything, no pictures, so things must be down. And I see we have like 1 million event logs. But if anyone has any questions, it's a good time to ask them. But I think we'll do, I'm about out of time anyway, but we are posting a lot of the stuff on AI, as well as cinematic rendering AI on CTisus, the main page. There's a whole section on AI, and we got that accepted to RSNA, so we're going to be building that out. We are building a lot of work on cinematic rendering. If you go to the lecture series, I've given a few talks recently. There's a few more talks coming up, and we are posting a lot more cases using cinematic rendering to give you a feel of what the achievements are, what the possibilities are, what the limitations are, what the strong points are. Now, it's interesting that I've not seen a lot of new changes in cinematic rendering over the past year or so, but hopefully those changes will come soon. And I see Mark DePaul joined, but I don't see Mark's picture because, again, I think everything that relates to pictures on Facebook is not there. So with that, I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to hope that some of this was captured, at least the voice, and then we'll see you next time. Oh, by the way, tomorrow's July 4th, tomorrow's Thursday, and we wish everybody a happy July 4th. We hope everyone also is surviving the onslaught of new residents and fellows. We seem to have very nice fellows. We hope all the fellows who left, who are very good, starting the new jobs. Some started today, some start in a month or 2 months from now. But wherever you are, we wish you the best, and we hope the transition is great. And for the new people, hey, we own you for a year. We look forward to doing great things, and it should be a lot of fun. And with that, have a happy July 4th. Catch you later.